Hello everyone, welcome to From the Star Wars Home Video Library. I'm your host, Nathan P. Butler. This time we look at one of the most important Star Wars home video releases of all time, but one that is not VHS, DVD, or Blu-ray. That is the Star Wars Laserdisc set known as the Widescreen Collector's Edition, or, by most people, the Definitive Collection. It is an absolute monster. This is the collection. Look at the size of my head compared to this. This thing is freaking heavy. Plain sides on that side. This side has our Fox Video logo there, and the names of the films at the bottom and so forth. You've got the THX logo. It says Laserdisc. And on the back, just a little copyright style information there that you've got. But at the top it says Widescreen Collector's Edition. It's a Star Wars Trilogy. Same logo actually is used on the 1990, 1992 VHS sets, only of course not in color this time. And underneath it says the Definitive Collection. And that is really what this was for its time. It's all the Star Wars films in widescreen format. The widescreen format issues that had previously existed on earlier VHS and Laserdisc versions have now been fixed. Quick recap before we look at the contents of this one. Star Wars films had been showing up on Laserdisc around the same time as they were showing up on VHS. A New Hope had appeared in 1982, Empire Strikes Back as early as 84, Return of the Jedi as early as 1986. They got widescreen re-releases, though, in 1989 in the case of A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back, and another widescreen release for Return of the Jedi in 1990. But the widescreen releases for A New Hope and Jedi were plagued by problems because they were taken from Japanese masters. To get rid of the subtitles at the bottom, they had shifted up the location on the screen of the Return of the Jedi widescreen format, so just lifted up compared to the black bars on top and bottom. And A New Hope had sort of shifted slowly but surely up to have part of it covered by that black line, though not all that much, as the film progressed because they manually fixed it as they went along. We talked about this in a previous episode. In 1990, there was a new pan and scan release, but not another widescreen release. They were gearing up for this. You may recall that early on, we had the issue of the mono and stereo theatrical soundtracks for A New Hope, and how they had to fix the VHS releases when they were first put out because the early ones had just the stereo soundtrack, so no line from C-3PO about the tractor beam and such. That was fixed by the 1986 release with a digitally remastered, or digitally mastered, not remastered, digitally mastered logo on the covers where it said Hi-Fi Stereo. Well, now the soundtrack has been gone back and been remastered again, this time using a lot of the original source material from a 70mm theatrical stereo version with different mono bits mixed into it to make it sound better. Sort of the definitive version of it, though not quite what was advertised about it being the absolute best possible audio mix with elements from all over the place, because it was basically just the stereo mix. It wasn't all redone or anything like that many people were thinking it was at the time. Now, these are CAV laser discs, and you'll find them inside this enormous case with its little Velcro latch there. It's not a slip case, it just opens up. First, let's check out what's in here as far as the films themselves are concerned. These things are freaking huge. So I pull all the contents out here. Lots and lots of stuff inside this bad boy, as I sometimes call them. First of all, you have A New Hope, simply listed as Star Wars. You have your cast crew information on the back. This is sides 1 through 6. Slip them out. That means you have 3 discs, right? Because each are double-sided. So 1 through 6 is discs 1 through 3. And each of these, if you've never seen a laser disc, are about the size of an LP, but they look very much like a CD. They got the little plastic covering on there, but basically they look like so. Okay? So actually kind of similar to what we saw when we looked at the CEDs, where we have films on these gigantic discs. Only these are much more like CDs. They're based on laser technology rather than CEDs based on using the needle like an LP. Then you've got The Empire Strikes Back. Again, same kind of setup here. Also 3 discs on the inside, which in this case are sides, 7 through 12. And then you have Return of the Jedi. Also, same way. This one being sides 13 through 18. Lots and lots of sides, 9 discs, each double-sided. Also inside the box with this, kind of similar to the 1992 special letterbox collector's edition on VHS, is a version of George Lucas' The Creative Impulse. But as that one had a cool-looking cover, was paperback, and was an abridged version just about Star Wars, this set actually came with the entire book. No dust jacket, so the cover's not all that great looking, but it's the entire book about George Lucas's film career. Looks like so. Got that special cool thing going on with the X-Wing and the TIE Fighter. And full color, black and white in some cases. Got stuff like Willow and whatnot in it. This is the full deal, so you wouldn't have to actually go out and buy the book separately if you bought this set. It was already included, unless you really wanted the dust jacket. Also included is a nifty little booklet, little guide booklet, to tell you what is on each of the discs and give you a quick breakdown as to what on earth it is that you are about to watch. Some of this bears checking out. First off, what exactly is it that this set is supposed to be? Well, there's a message. It says THX Laserdisc Programs presents the Star Wars Trilogy. What you're about to experience is a very special edition, nice choice of names there, of the Star Wars Trilogy, produced under the supervision of the THX Laserdisc program. The THX Laserdisc program was developed to ensure optimal audio and video performance of feature films on Laserdisc by monitoring every stage of their production. This presented special challenges in the case of the Star Wars Trilogy. First, the best possible film elements were located and utilized to create an all-new video transfer. Okay, this is a very cool thing. Finally, a new video transfer. Now we're not dealing with the same issues as we had on the previous Laserdiscs or VHS releases that were in widescreen, as I mentioned earlier. Before beginning the trilogy's film-to-tape transfer, THX technical personnel calibrated all the equipment, including the telecine and video monitors. During the transfer process, the THX Laserdisc program pioneered the use of a new technology to remove the effects of dirt and pinholes, seen as white flashes, from the film elements. The result is a clean, consistent picture, which is the closest possible to the original theatrical presentation. Sound familiar? It's going to be the basis for the THX remastered editions on VHS. Color and contrast were also controlled by respected telecine colorist Lou Levinson. The end result is a razor-sharp transfer of each Star Wars film, something laserphiles have been anticipating for a long time. Not a word you hear much anymore these days, laserphiles. In addition to improving the picture, THX personnel supervised the meticulous remastering of the trilogy's soundtrack at the post-production facilities located at Skywalker Ranch. Original sound stems were used to produce new digital soundtracks, maximizing the full dynamic potential of the Laserdisc medium. The new soundtracks boast a marked improvement in clarity and range, with deep, smooth bass and an increased presence of surround sound. The remastering for all 3 films was supervised by 2 of the original creators of the Star Wars sound. That's right, Star Wars sound, not Star Wars sounds. Ben Burt and Gary Summers. From your initial experience of the attack of the Star Destroyer in Star Wars, it will be clear that the new THX version represents the ultimate expression of the Star Wars trilogy on any home video format. They even give credits to the people who worked on this Laserdisc release. It then includes a breakdown of the stars behind the camera, because there are going to be interviews with many of the stars of the Star Wars films, or at least the cast and crew of the Star Wars films. Then they give you a setup for each film and information on what kind of cool new elements are included. In this case, every disc is labeled and has its chapter stops within the film labeled. But then you've gone off to the side here, inside some of the chapters, you have audio commentary that you can turn on. It's not through the entire film. It's for selected chapters on specific selected topics. For instance, in the Princess Leia's Futile Flight chapter, chapter 3 of the film on side 1 of A New Hope, it has Ken Ralston discussing the origins of Star Wars and the origins of Star Wars and motion control, camera work, and original ship designs. If you go to Chapter 15, R2-D2's Secret Message, it's Ken Ralston again, creating the Leia holograph, and so on, and so on. Each film, though, you'll find, as you hit the last parts of it, generally at the end of Disc 5 and all through Disc 6, it's nothing but special features. Theatrical trailers, in many cases. We have war stories, an interview with George Lucas, original concepts for Star Wars, interviews with Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Inside the Cantina, the award ceremony, behind the music of Star Wars, sometimes still photographs, sometimes documentary styles, sometimes interview. They call them points of interest, and that's the case for each film. So out of this set of 9 discs with 18 different sides, of them, 3 of these sides, 1 per film, is actually bonus material, and except in the case, I believe it is, of Return of the Jedi, the theatrical trailers are included on the last disc of the film itself. Yeah, Return of the Jedi includes the theatrical trailers at the beginning of the bonus disc because I guess there wasn't room on the actual film itself. Kind of neat the way that they went about doing this. It's kind of neat that they break down exactly how they grabbed the different source material to make the films as part of that introduction to each section. Makes for a nice guided viewing experience. Now, for many people, this remains the definitive way to watch the Star Wars films. Granted, the picture and sound are somewhat better on the THX re-release on VHS compared to earlier VHS. And granted, you'll get a coinciding THX remastered release on Laserdisc to go with the 1995 THX remastered Star Wars films on VHS. But to get all those cool commentary bits, to get all kinds of cool background information, to see rather unique bonus materials that haven't really been repeated since then in many respects, this is really a cool way to go. If you have a Laserdisc player, which many people don't have these days. I actually do not own one. I've seen bits from this. I've never actually watched it all the way through because I don't own one in my own home. But this becomes the basis for the THX remastering process of Star Wars that we know of when we think about the 1995 VHS releases, when we think about eventually the process that eventually led us to the 1997 special editions and so on. The remastering and remixing stuff has already been done on the audio for A New Hope once before. Now it's being done for all 3 films leading up to the later releases of what we think of as those improved editions in 95 and 97. Pretty cool stuff, a great part of any collector's collection. Probably the high point, actually, I say probably, definitely, the high point of the Laserdisc run of the Star Wars films. Unfortunately, Laserdisc itself will die off in the relatively near future after this point, by the end of the 1990s. With that, we'll wrap up this episode. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with the home video viewers.